Hello, hello, hello. So I am Emma Brassington. You might also know me as Emma Cowling. And I'm here today to talk about 5 principles of authentic leadership. So I decided last night that I would throw this together because I talk a lot about all of these different principles across social media, but they tend to be like in separate bits. And I just wanted to give myself the chance to just bring this together and talk about authentic leadership. What is it? What does it mean? Authenticity can sometimes feel like a bit of a buzzword. And I know I've got friends who kind of go, whenever I say it. But for me, authenticity just is one of my values. It's one of those things that is so important to me. And pairing that with leadership, leaders who show up as they are, who show up without pretending to be someone else, leaders who show up and you trust them. That, for me, trust is such a core part of authentic leadership. So why would you listen to me about this? Why have I got anything to say? Well, I've been coaching for about 15 years, probably more than that now. And I've been in management positions, but I've also stepped into leadership positions. I've led large initiatives, large university related things, but also large initiatives within organizations as well. I'm strongly passionate that leadership is not about you've got a team that's formally there for you. Leadership is about getting out there, building a vision, showing and seeing what could happen in the future, and then persuading others to join you on that journey. And so these principles of authentic leadership, that's what underpins them all. So again, why me? Well, I've been working in the area of leadership development for the last 4 or 5 years, and well beyond that really, but formally, that's where I've been focusing my attention. And I've helped, and I specifically work with women in tech, coaching them, developing them, growing them, helping them to start to step into this sense of trust in themselves, this realization that they have got strengths that the world values, that they can take things out there and get themselves seen, get themselves heard, and add value as a result of that. And I've done that at different levels. So I've worked with some really junior people, but I've also worked with some really senior people too. And seeing behind that, seeing some of the fundamentals, teaching them some of what's going on, what to look out for, these principles, those things have been the same no matter what level. Because once you start to understand and start to think about, okay, what is leadership? What does it mean to be authentic? And bring those understanding and underlying things together. It doesn't matter where you are in your career, you start applying them and seeing them fall out differently. So I've seen it, and over the last few years, there are clients who join me right at the beginning, and they are now flourishing. They have gone from a kind of middle level management role to directorship roles, just through applying these ideas, taking that next step, trusting themselves. That is at the core for me, and they are flourishing. So what are my 5 principles of authentic leadership? I'm not going to stay around for too long because I just want to give you a taster, and I want to give you that overview of how it all fits together. But the first one, I've already alluded to this. Number 1, it's all about understanding and trusting yourself. If you don't trust yourself, if you don't understand yourself, you can't show up authentically. You'll be hiding things. You'll be putting on a front. You'll be positioning yourself in a way that is there trying to prove yourself to other people. When you start to really understand and trust yourself, then wow, the power just really comes out. So, and this works for me. This idea of trusting yourself is something that I'm always coming back to in my mentorship program. I spend more time encouraging people to step back, settle down, slow down, connect with what's important to them, what the things that matter to them in whatever situation, rather than being reactive, rather than being proactive even. It's about kind of tuning into your own inner wisdom. And I use that phrase a lot, that innate wisdom that we all have within us. So within that, there are a couple of different elements that I work around and that flow through my program. Number 1 is, do you know your values? Do you know what's important to you? Can you talk about the things that matter to you? And how kind of aware are you of them? Do you know your strengths? Do you know the things that you want to focus your attention on and the things that you love to do? And are you comfortable just with your weaknesses, knowing that they're there? Do you want to pay attention and kind of build them? Or actually, are you comfortable to go, no, do you know what? I'd bring someone else to address that. But starting to understand yourself in that way, that's a great starting point. But then there's another level of depth to this, the depth of understanding how you work as a human, how your state of mind and the way that you're thinking, the way that the ideas that are flowing through your head, the way that you've learned to see the world, seeing how that affects the way that you show up, seeing how that affects the way that you might be insecure about something, or that you might believe truly and deeply in something, the way that you think something is completely right and has to be done a particular way, starting to see that and recognize how our minds work, all of us as humans, that shifts things when you start to see that. And that's something that we can keep on having insights about as we go along. It's more important, and this is one of the fundamental things in my program, is that it's seeing it when it's going on is really more powerful than me trying to tell you a load of stuff and you going away and trying to work your way through. And this is why within the program I have a community and the ability to drop in at any time, the ability to reach out and say, I'm struggling with this. This is what's going on for me right now. Because when you're in the moment, having someone to say, have you noticed what your thinking is around this? Have you noticed that you're stirred up at the moment? Have you noticed how the feelings that you have and the fears that you have are influencing the way that you're interpreting the world? And just having that in the moment feedback allows a deeper understanding to come through, a deeper recognition, a really practical, applied way of seeing that leads to kind of a shift in the way you see the world. So next time it happens, you see it differently and you don't get so caught up. And over time, you end up developing and developing this deeper trust in yourself. Just having someone there going, I know you're struggling right now, but you've got this. You can find your way through. That makes a huge difference. So understanding, developing that awareness of who you are, what matters at that kind of values level, but then also going deeper and seeing, oh, this is how I work, and finding, and this is another massive thing that's made a huge difference in my life, that I've seen it shift clients, I've seen it shift people within the program as well, is just seeing the wisdom, the creativity, the insights, the new way of seeing how to do things that comes through when you slow down, trusting that the answer's there. And if you can settle down the noise in your head, actually there's a really quiet kind of knowing that comes through. So helping you tune into that, helping you trust that, helping you see that, that is a really important thing. And I'm deliberately spending quite a bit of time explaining this, because for me, this is where the authenticity comes from. When you understand and you trust yourself, you can talk about why you're doing things, but also you have this sense of just, yeah, I'm doing this. This makes sense. And people listen to that. People connect with that. They connect with that more than the loud voice that's shouting and saying, we've got to do it this way. The person that comes in and just goes, no, we've got to do it this way. This feels right to me. That is just makes such a big difference. So number one, understanding and trusting yourself, the first principle that I will continuously be working on. And I'd still work on myself. Number two, connecting with the why. And I wanted to say connecting with the understanding and knowing the why in everything you do. This for me is starting to move into the leadership side of things. Number one, this comes from the understanding and trusting yourself. Why are you doing it? What's your why? And I have a program called What's Your Why, which is all about understanding your mission. But at the same time, this is also, how do you communicate what you're doing to other people? How do you create the vision? How do you communicate the change that needs to happen in order to deliver something? And that can be your why, but it can also be the business why. So if you're in an organization and you're trying to get something done, you need to be willing to speak out and tell people why this needs to happen, to communicate it in the language of the business, of other people, and and yourself, starting with your own why. Because what's the point of doing something if it doesn't matter to you? When you start doing things that aren't aligned with the things that are important to you, what happens is that we end up not really putting ourselves into it, doing it for the sake of it, and people pick up on that. So if you're showing up as a leader and you don't believe in what you're doing, people know, and you won't get them on board in the same way. So connecting with the why, being able to connect with your why and the why of the business, the other people, the world, what's the difference that this is going to make to people's lives? So important as a leader to be able to talk about that, because that is part of the vision building, leadership skills, the where are we going? If you're a leader, you're taking people on a journey somewhere. Where are you taking them? If you can tell them where and why, then they are much more likely to follow you. And I should say, if you have any questions, whether it's like input live now, or if you have any questions, if you're watching this on catch up, if you're watching this as we're going on, please do drop them in the comments. I will be coming back to them all the way along. And just in case, like, if you want to go check out my mentorship program, I've just dropped in the comments, you should see the details there to go and find out more about what I'm talking about. But this is, I want this to be useful to everyone. This isn't just about my mentorship program, but I'm using examples from that because that's what's going on for me right now. That's what I'm selling. Doors close on Sunday, by the way. So if some of this is resonating with you and you're thinking about it, oh, I should probably put this on as well. So if you're thinking about joining me, come along and check it out. Got a typo there. Oh dear, bad Emma. Here you go, resilience in the moment. There we go. So number 3, right, got lost there for a moment. Number 3, recognizing the value in alternative perspectives. So for me, what I'm talking about here is you've got all your stuff. You understand you understand how you work, you understand your values, but that's only ever your view on the world. You want to go in a particular direction. You can see that there's a thing to work towards, a goal to work towards, a vision to work towards. But again, that's only ever coming from your perspective. You can only ever know your experiences and what you've been through and the information that's come into your head, the world that you've created. In order to be a leader, you need to be working with other people. That's what leadership is about. It's about bringing people along with you. And these other people, they have different views on how the world works. They have been through different experiences. They've put themselves in and immersed themselves in different places and different ways of doing things. They've learned different things to you. So if you kind of look at the Venn diagram of what they've seen and what you've seen, yes, there'll be an overlap if you've interacted with each other, but those things will also be different. So they bring this greater understanding of the world. So the more that you can tune into the fact that other people bring a different way of seeing the world, no single one of us can ever know everything there is to know out there, to take in all of that data, to understand it. And even if we had been everywhere, our brains filter things. The way that we remember things changes, shifts all the time. So there is no right, true way of seeing the world. Nobody has it exactly. Recognizing that as a leader and then seeing, oh, but that means that person and that person and that person, they could all bring a different way of seeing this. And they might see something that you don't see. They might bring something that you don't. They might challenge something that you're putting a boundary around, an assumption that you're putting a boundary around that you've not realized that you're doing. So taking that time to recognize other people's, to see how they build their world. Again, coming back to those principles, once you start to understand how you build the world, how you create these through your thinking, the models that you create, the way that the rules and structures that you've put in place, you see that other people are doing this too. When you start to see how your feelings affect that interpretation, you start to see how theirs does it too. So you realize that the reason they're acting like that is because they're scared at the moment. If they were feeling more comfortable, they'd react differently. They might be shutting someone down because they're scared of what they're saying. They might be shutting down and judging you because they're scared of what you have to say. When you can see the behind that and see where it's coming from, that gives so much more depth and so much more insight, and gives you more options on how to work with them, how to bring them along, bring them on board, and choosing who you want as well. Who do you want to bring in? You might choose to deliberately look for people who don't have your worldview, and so that you can create a better solution. But the challenge with that is that people are going to disagree. There's going to be conflict because they have different worldviews. How do you manage that? How do you help them to see this is okay? How do you bring that collaboration together so that you can achieve something more as a group? Now, coming back to my program, coming back to the Authentic Tech Leaders Mentorship program, again, the community helps with this. The community of other women in tech that you're starting to get to know, that you're starting to learn about, that you're starting to see their worldview, it gives you the chance to bounce ideas around and see the different perspectives in a safe way. See it so it's not in a challenging way, starting to explore and go, oh, they think about that like that. And based on what we're learning, yeah, I see that. Oh, maybe that's what my colleague's doing. Maybe that's what that really difficult person's doing. And having the space to just download and share and kind of talk about that understanding really does help. I also run workshops around building influence, understanding other people's worlds. Those all fit within the program. So over the time, you start to get nudged about these different ideas, and you get to explore it with the community. Number 4, moving on. As an authentic leader, you need to get comfortable with failure. And I would also add judgment into this as well. Get comfortable with the fact that you are going to fail. You are going to put kind of big ideas out there. You're going to say, let's go this direction because we want to make a difference. But you can't know exactly how to do it. And it is also not worth your time trying to figure out exactly how to do it before you take action. When we take action, we learn more about the world because we take in more data, we take in more information, and then we take more action. But we've got to be comfortable with continuously adjusting based on what we're learning, based on what we're finding out, based on what other people are telling us as well. So coming back to the recognizing the value in other people bringing information, knowing that you might fail and they might have the solution, being comfortable with that. Your job isn't to get it right. Your job is to keep moving people in that direction. An authentic leader is comfortable saying, I don't know. I didn't know. I made a mistake. It's not about kind of always kind of shifting and changing with the winds, but because that comes back to that number 1, trusting yourself, trusting what feels right, but getting comfortable that sometimes it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. The action you take isn't always the right one. And when I say right, because that's really interesting too, what is right? Trusting that you did the best, knowing the resources you had available to you at the time, the understanding that you had, recognizing that failure is just telling you that you're nudging up against the things that you know about. You're going into the unknown, you're learning, you're growing, you're developing, you're pushing boundaries. If you're not failing, you're not doing any of that. So again, core element of leadership is to be pushing those boundaries, being willing to admit that, being willing to go out and do it and fail along the way. That is just the power that you need from authentic leadership. Number 5, behind that, what helps you get comfortable with failure? This idea revolutionized the way that I saw the world. It changed the way that I behave. It made me comfortable and helped me get comfortable with the idea of going out and setting up my own business and just allowing that to happen, getting out there and doing this, even seeing like last minute, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to hop on and do a live. I'm just going to talk about the things I know about. And this idea, you are always okay. In this moment right now, you are okay. And in the next, you will be, in the next as well. I'm not saying you're always going to be happy and joyful and kind of living life to the full, but even when stuff's tough, even when things are falling apart, all you have to do is cope with what's going on in that exact moment. And it is amazing what resources come available to us, what happens when the crunches come, and how we respond, how we react, how we navigate through it. This again comes back to the value of being in a community over the period of 6 months, going through whatever is going on in your life, in your job, in everything, every part of the life that you're living. Being able to say, oh my God, what do I do? And then within the group, having that reminder that you're okay, you've got this. See, you might not be doing what you think you should be doing. It might not be going the way you think it should or the way you wanted it to, but you're still okay. You really are still okay. We've had someone this week who's struggling with some feedback that's come through that wasn't what they wanted, but they're still okay. It hurts. The feelings kind of hurt, and this is almost even more powerful. This is where the authenticity can come from. When you see you're okay, you allow yourself to feel. You allow yourself to go through whatever it is that's going through. You give yourself permission because you know you'll come through it. You'll know you'll work way through it. It can hurt, but even when it hurts, you're still okay. It's just amazingly powerful and something which doesn't come through. I can't teach it to you by telling you. My teaching is through helping and guiding you and showing you and giving you examples and helping you see it for yourself, changing the way you understand yourself, coming back to that first one, trusting that you're always going to be okay. And when you see it, you get comfortable with failure. You're willing to put yourself out there. You're willing to speak out. You're willing to listen to other people. You're willing to help them see that they're okay too, despite all the head stuff that's going on. And it's absolutely amazing. So those are my 5 principles of authentic leadership. Understand and trust yourself. Connect with the why. Recognize the value in alternative perspectives. Get comfortable with failure and see that you're always okay. Now, if you would like to join and develop as an authentic leader, if you are, and this is my program is deliberately targeted at women in tech. And it's a female-only environment. That is to create a safe space. I do coach not people who do not identify as female. I coach people outside of tech, but my focus is in supporting women in tech. So if you identify as female and you work in the tech sector, you don't have to be a techie, you don't have to be a developer, but you have to work in the tech environment or games. And I deliberately say all games because people sometimes rule themselves out. We have artists, we have all sorts of different people who have joined the program. If that's of interest to you, if what I'm saying is resonating with you, if you want to go deeper into these things and you want to get that support to learn and grow over the next 6 months, then come and join me. Come and join us. There'll be probably about 10 to 15 people within the group this time around. Maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. I never know who's going to join, and it's last minute. We kick off. The important thing is we kick off on Monday. Doors close on Sunday, and they don't open again for another 6 months. If you're interested in joining, it costs $9.95 for 6 months. I do payment plans over 3 months or 6 months. So that can be, it works out if you go over 6 months at £175 a month. Just get in touch if that is of interest to you, because I will set that up specifically for you. If you follow the link that's there, emmabrassington.com/authentic tech leaders, then that will take you to my website where you can register and sign up and pay in full. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. What do we do? I realize I haven't really talked about how it works. Basically, the way that it works is, as I've said, we've got this community. We've got a Slack community, which is there all the time. I'm monitoring it. I feedback, I share things. I'm there daily, and I respond kind of one-to-one as well as a group. So that support is always there. Alongside that, There is a set of training modules which are online that you can go into at any time, covering a variety of different topics around leaderships. Most of them are the ones that I've talked through today, but they might be labeled slightly differently. I run monthly live workshops where you come along and we explore one of these topics. We unpick it, we dig around, we get into the detail of it. So, and that's for an hour each month. That's currently on a Monday lunchtime. And there's also then the option to drop in to reflection calls once a week. These are all optional. All of this is optional. There is no kind of you must do it this way. It's deliberately set up so that there is the support and the learning support that you need in order to learn and grow. So I've packaged it up in different ways. The reflection calls are there for an hour every week, where you can bring along whatever is going on for you and just say, can I have some help, please? And you can come along and hear about what the other women within the cohort are struggling with, are dealing with, are celebrating. All of those things are kind of come up in our calls. We cover such a wide variety of topics. Doesn't just have to be about work, because we can learn so much from outside of work, which then brings in. And if you want to be an authentic leader, it's about the whole of you, not just the you that shows up at work. So that's the combination of what we have. So community, online training, live workshops, and reflection calls. Those reflection calls currently take place alternate weeks, Tuesday evening and Friday lunchtime. I am just about to hop off Friday lunchtime at 12:30, just about to go and see who turns up this time. Sometimes there might be 5 or 6 people that join. Sometimes it's just one. So sometimes you get the extra one-to-one boost. It is a lovely, flexible program. If you're worried about having enough time, having the commitment, or any of those things, please do reach out. I am available all day for the rest of today, and on Saturday and Sunday. We can hop on a half-hour call. We can talk it through. I'm not going to do a hard sell. I'm not going to tell you kind of that you have to join or anything like that, or trick you into kind of parting with money that you haven't got. But if you're worried about money, reach out. I want to make this available to as many people as possible. So if it sounds like this is something that you could really do, that you could really value and benefit from, we can come to an arrangement. So reach out. If it's time, oh my God, please reach out, because this is all about that. When you connect with the why, that's the really important one. When you start saying no to things that actually, do you know what? You can't justify them. They don't fit with the things that are important. It helps you start prioritizing. It helps you start saying no. Support to say no to people and to disappoint people. Yep, that's all there too. So please reach out. Let's talk it through. I really am so passionate and have seen so much value from people joining the program. And so often they say, oh, I hadn't realized just how much support and it was in here. I find it really hard to get it across, but I hope that you're connecting and you're feeling the passion. If it resonates, if any of my stuff resonates, please reach out. As I said, drop any questions in the comments, reach out, DM me, message me, emma@emmabrassington.com, or head over to the website and get in touch there. I hope you have a fantastic day. And if you're not joining the program, then I hope I've given you some things to think about. Please do go check them out. Have a fantastic day. See you soon.